Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me again for another live Q&A chat on my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I am a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you tips and tricks and techniques, stuff that I do every day in my own voiceover business. And then we get together in these weekly chats to do a live Q&A about a topic or five, you know, whatever comes up, I suppose. It's usually how it goes. But if you are not new here, then you know that every week we have a new poll. And today's poll, we're going to talk about ACX because, again, usually the topics for these live chats are based on like what questions that I get most often in the weeks preceding. And I get a lot of questions about ACX, and I'm coming to find with all of the people that I talk to and that I work with every week don't know these things about ACX, and which is totally understandable, especially if you're joining for the first time with ACX and not quite sure what everything does and best practices and things like that. So I figured we would spend some time today in talking about the things that you can do to see more success on ACX. And so for those of you that don't know, just really quickly, and then we'll get to the poll. For those of you that don't know, that ACX is an arm of Amazon. This is where the authors and narrators come together to produce the audiobooks that you find on Audible and other streaming platforms, but mainly Audible. So if you are a brand new audiobook narrator or just getting started, this is a great place to get started and finding work, an audiobook work. But just note that ACX is not available in every country, so definitely check acx.com and see if it is available in your country before you sign up, and then, or maybe you can't sign up because you're not in the country. But anyway, don't get your hopes up. Check the available countries first before you make the move to start there. But don't despair. There are other ways of finding audiobook work. ACX is not the only, audiobook distributor out there. There are others, but today we're focused on ACX. So today's poll is, how many jobs have you won so far on ACX? Because I want to kind of take the temperature of the room, so to speak, and to kind of cater what I need to focus more on based on where you guys are currently at. So, looks like the vast majority of you, over half of you, have won no work. So this is good. This would be a good video for you to watch before you get started. I'll give you some pointers and some tips. 27% of you said 1 to 5. So again, I'm hoping that something said today, either by myself or someone in the comments, will show you, maybe alternative ways that you could find more work. 7% of you said 6 to 10, and then 11% of you said 10 plus. So I'm hoping those of you, that 18% of you, can also share some successes, some tips that you have discovered on your own in working with ACX to help those, most of the other of you watching, most of the other of you, you know what I mean. Most of you watching have not seen that kind of success on ACX yet. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through some of the things that you should be doing or could be doing on ACX. So let me take this off the screen, and then I'm going to, these buttons just don't work on StreamYard right now. Okay, so here's the first tip I'm going to give you. Okay, so which screen are we on? There we go. All right, so when you come into ACX and you're signed up, it's available in your country and you're signed up, and you come in here to start finding projects. One of the main things I see happen with new audiobook narrators is that you go filter crazy. Don't get filter crazy. Use the filters sparingly, and this goes with just about everything on this site. Use them sparingly. The only real filters that you want to utilize in here are probably your voice gender and the language, because there may be some undecideds in here that you might be excluding yourself from. You won't be shown undecided, particularly with pay. If the author is, just for instance here, if you're selecting, I want to be paid this much, or I just want royalty share, and I have a tip on royalty share, which I'll share with you in a second. But if you're selecting these, you're going to be missing out on unspecified. So maybe the author is not quite sure if they want to go per finished hour, which is, sort of like a buyout. You're paid for the production. Or they're not quite sure if they want royalty share or if they want royalty share. They're not quite sure. They're counting on you as the professional to show them the options and how these things work. They're not quite sure. So if you're selecting these, then you might be missing out on the authors that aren't quite sure yet, or the books that aren't, authors that aren't quite sure yet. There are a lot of, where was the other one? Was it accent? I would definitely say to maybe even, I don't even know if I would do accents. I would just leave it open. I would just see what all of the possibilities are. So really just go with perhaps your voice gender and maybe not even age, probably just gender. And if you're really stuck on, oh, here we go, genre. This is one thing that I wanted to show you. I think there was there an exclude? There used to be an exclude. I would just leave these open too and just see what's available. So really, gender would really be the only one, unless you're limited in time. Like if you're doing this part-time, then I would select project length, right? To get an idea of how long this book is going to be and how much time you have available to commit to this project. I think that would be another one that I would probably check, but really just gender and length probably. Leave all the other options open and see what comes up. Because in my experience, I have found that I'm not really the best with accents. I'm pretty good with just my own, which is a general American. So But I auditioned for something else where they were asking for a different accent, and they went with me anyway because maybe it just fit. Unless, like, the main character in the book is from New York and you must have a New York accent, then that would be something different. But you could be the right voice that maybe the author wasn't even thinking of at the time, right? So, really, I think just stick with gender and maybe project length if you're limited in time. Leave all the other filters undone. Leave them all undone and just see what comes up. Because with all of these filters cleared, we have 2,400 books available to audition for at the moment. And this is live. You're seeing this live. This is what is on here live. So that was the one thing that I wanted to share with you. One thing I wanted to talk about royalty share. Let's just use this one as an example here. Let's just pull this one up. So if you're looking for royalty share, the one thing that you definitely want to do before submitting an audition for royalty share, because royalty share is essentially you're sharing in the profits of this book with the author, right? You each get 20% of every sale that is made through Audible for this book. So before you audition for royalty share, you want to make sure that this book has good ratings. You want to make sure it's going to sell well, right? A lot of times the authors will tell you that they have a large following on social media, which is a definite plus. That they maybe this is not their debut novel and they have several others that are doing well, then that would be one to audition for. But ultimately, you're making the decision if you want to audition for a book or not. If the book is resonating with you and you really want to do it, then by all means do it. If they haven't sold a single one, I mean, ultimately it's up to you what you want to. But if you're really looking to make some money, excuse me, quickly, then you want to go to the About This title and take a look at them. You can also view the book on Amazon, directly on Amazon, and see all about it, right? You can see usually there's an About the Author. There's a author's page that you can go and take a look at. But what you want to look for is how well it's rating and its sales rank, right? How long ago it came out. So this book has been out for a handful of years, and the sales rank is in the millions, and it's only got one rating so far. So the chances of this book, no hate to this author or anything, but the chances of this book doing well with royalty share, unless they're planning on marketing it and advertising this book, right? Which if you're in royalty share, you should too. If you create a lot of hype around this book, maybe it could sell well. Maybe it's a topic that everybody's looking for. But these are just things to look at when you're looking into royalty share. All right, so let's go back to just me. I'm going to select a different screen here. How do we go to... Sorry. Buttons. Who's got the button? Oh, samples. Here we go. I also wanted to show you this one. On this screen, we have the samples that you're posting on ACX, because not only can you go and find a book that perhaps that you want to audition for, but you can also post samples that show up in this find talent screen, which is usually where the authors are going to go. Maybe they don't want to solicit auditions. Maybe they want to go and find the talent to produce their audiobook themselves. So you can post samples, and then the author will come here and look for somebody that perhaps fits. Now, what I tell people to do is, as soon as you post a sample here, then they're pretty much posted chronologically. So as soon as you post a sample here, and then more people come in and start posting samples, the sample that you posted is slowly traveling down the page, right? Then you're at the bottom of page 1, then you're on page 2 the next day, so on and so forth. So you want to recycle these, right? Whatever intervals that you decide. So if you're posting, let's just say that you posted 2 or 3 samples on a Monday. Maybe on Friday, you take them down and put them back up. Maybe refresh one that you like a whole lot better than one that you posted on Monday. But if you keep continually reposting your samples, you will stay closer to the top. If you think of when we go and shop for something on Amazon, right? If we find what we're looking for on page 1, it's highly unlikely we're going to end up on page 3 or 4 looking for that thing, right? So you want to stay close to the top of the search. Also, another thing that you don't want to do is to name your sample the name of the book that you're taking that excerpt from. Obviously, Fox and Socks, we know, is probably a children's book, but if the author is unfamiliar with whatever that title is or whatever that represents, they have no idea what this sample is about. I did see another one. Here we go. Trailer. That tells me nothing as the author. Not only that, but it doesn't really, maybe not even pertain. What is it a trailer of? Right? I don't really know what that is. I'm going to be highly unlikely probably to click on it. Yeah, it tells me a couple of little things here, but I mean, do people really look at all of that stuff all the time? SP streamer, what does that mean? I'm not sure what that means. You might know what that means, but I don't know what that means. So what you want to do is perhaps name your sample exactly what it is that you're doing here. Just like here, American male reading sports biography, political biography. Name it what it is. Be descriptive about, here we go, nonfiction, serious, historical women, Victorian. That gives me a pretty good picture of what this might sound like. And this could be what I'm looking for, right? So be sure to name your titles. You know, make sure it represents what your sample is conveying or what it sounds like or what it is, right? That was another thing that I wanted to tell you. Where was the other thing? There was one other thing. If you are looking to figure out if your audio quality is up to snuff, because getting the formatting right for ACX is sometimes difficult, especially if you're brand new to this field. It's very technical. The formatting for the files is very specific and sometimes hard to achieve if you don't really know what you're doing, as we all do in the beginning. Like, it's all a different language in the beginning. If you think you have it down, you think you have the audio quality down or the formatting down, and you want to just double check before you send that audition or before you submit that 15-minute checkpoint or whatever it is, you can go to the Audio Lab and upload your file into the Audio Lab. And they didn't have this years ago when I first started. This is relatively new. But you can upload it into the Audio Lab and it'll tell you if your noise floor is too high, if your RMS is too low. It'll tell you all those things so you can go back to the drawing board and try to fix it before you submit it. And you do want your auditions to be ACX compliant. You want them to be compliant to the formatting standards because you never know if the author is going to check that you know how to do it. And I've heard of authors doing this before. They will take your audition file and they will upload it into Audiolab, and then they will check to see if it is in fact ACX requirements, because why would they hire you if you can't get the files right? Right? I've heard of people doing this before. So this is a great tool to use. It's found right in ACX, and that way you know if your files are compliant before you send them out. And there may be something else that I'm neglecting to mention, but if you have questions about anything that I've mentioned so far, then please put them in the comments, and then we will get to them as we go. So let's do that. Let's go over to the comments. There are quite a few of them. And let's see who's first in. Who's first in today? Paul. How you doing, Paul? Good day, Angela and fellow VOs. My experience so far, I've completed a total of 23 books to date. Breakdown as follows. Let's see if I can find the continuation. I'm not seeing it, but 23 so far is good. To date, how long has that been? Caesar says, oh, hi, Angela. To date, I've won one and plan on getting more. Recently, I've been doing a lot of DAW coaching and booth audits, but I've set aside time to record auditions daily. Good. Good. And you should be. You should be auditioning daily, and then also use those auditions as samples. If you're one of those people that feels guilty about not crediting the author in your samples because perhaps you're using the name of the book in the title of your sample because you feel like you're taking credit for the. Don't worry about that. Just make sure that the title of your sample is descriptive as to what it is that you're doing a sample of. And then in the notes section of the sample, you can say this is an excerpt from XYZ book, right? Written by XYZ author. You can do that. So, and then keep in mind, samples are just a representation of your narration style and what you sound like and how you handle certain situations within, that scene that you're recording. You're not trying to take credit. You're not taking credit for writing the book or anything like that. It's just a demonstration of your narration style. So don't feel bad about that. Dwight says, hello, Angela. Hello, Dwight. It is great getting to spend time with you, my fellow Angelistas, this morning. I hope you're having a great start to your day, everyone. So far, so good. Can't complain. It's a great day. Caesar says, that said, hello, everyone. Have lots of things to be excited about this week. Been busy helping folks out in Platinum, but also have a business plan outlined. Good for you. Hoping to score a book contract this week. You will. You have to change that mindset. No hoping, no should, no, get all of those words out of your head. You will. Manifest it. You will. Positive thinking. No doubts. Kathleen says, good morning, Angela and everyone. Good morning to you, Kathleen. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Eric says, good morning. Just wanted to make sure I got in here early. I left donuts in the other room for everybody. Of course, out of reach. I have to get my teeth cleaned this morning. Fun. Oh, joy. Have a great show. Thank you, Eric. Have fun at the dentist. Kathleen says, I've had 2 offers and completed them. The completion seems pretty abundant. I haven't, or competition seems pretty abundant. Just really quick on that note, there are a lot of narrators out there, but we all have different voices, different perspectives, something that makes us unique, different styles, right? We all sound unique to ourselves. We are individuals. So there's a wide range of options out there. That doesn't mean that they're competition. Don't think of them as competition. They are options. And you will, if you're auditioning a lot, you will cross paths with that author who is looking for you. So don't let the competition thing stop you from auditioning, because they're options, not competition. I haven't tried for any fiction work, even though I think it would be fun to do novels. I don't have any character voices. And you don't necessarily really need to have character voices. I think a lot of times we think about more, when we think character voices, we think more like animation, cartoons, stuff like that. I always recommend people that are looking into developing character voices or character voices. I always recommend people check out Scott Brick's narration of Jurassic Park and his character work in that book. He narrated Jurassic Park, and Scott Brick is amazing. But the differentiation between the voices for the characters is so subtle that he's not doing anything, he's not changing pitch or really, it's more about personality and attitude of the character. Maybe they speak a little faster, they speak a little slower, they're a little bit more intentional with what they say. Maybe they have a little bit of like a breathy air to their voice. It's very subtle changes. It doesn't necessarily need to be, like the cartoony extreme voice differences that we think of when we think of character voices. Subtle changes. And then sometimes authors don't even want the, differentiation in character voices. They just want their story to be told. So don't let that thinking hold you back either, that you don't have character voices. You will find them. It's more attitude and personality. Mandy M said, hi, Angela. Hi, everyone. From a wet northern England. Coincidentally, I completed my ACX profile today. Good for you. Uploaded some samples and submitted my first auditions. Much more to do, but it's a start. That's right. Now, from here, just keep going. Rinse and repeat, right? Keep going. Kathleen says, what do I need to do for fictional work? Audition for it. Audition for it. Don't make it difficult. Just audition for it. Just go get it. Go do it. Tycon Delar says, good morning, Angela. I did a children's book and a computer programming book about SQL. That was very hard for me. Yeah, those can be difficult for sure. When you have a lot of like technical terms and things. So far, everything has been royalty share and nothing over 12K pages due to day job. Understandable. But if you want to do something larger than just a 12,000 word book, if you want to do like novel length books, you can. The thing is that when you find a book, or you find a book that you want to audition for it, regardless. And then once the author sends you a message about the book, perhaps at that point you can say, what was your desired time frame for this? Or if they send you an offer with a time frame on it, you can ask them, hey, could I have, this amount of time instead? And you might be surprised. They might say, I've never had anybody said no. I've never had anyone tell me no if I needed extra time. Or perhaps if you are in demand, if you catch my drift, and according to your workload, you can have this book done in 45 days instead of the 30 that they're asking for, or 60 days because of your workload instead of the 30 days that they're asking for. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, you are in demand and you're scheduling books accordingly. So you can ask for that extra time. Why not? See what they say. I mean, what's the worst they could say? No? And then you at that point need to decide, okay, well, can I really do this book in 30 days? I think I can move some things around and get this done in 30 days. I can really push and get this because I really want to do this book. It's going to be up to you. But don't be afraid to ask for extra time if you need it. It's perfectly fine. Just ask. Mandy M says, by the way, should I ignore auditions that have been up there for ages? Some go back to the end of 2023, beginning of 24. Seems unlikely that they're live projects anymore. I would say use your discernment on those. It could be that maybe something perhaps came up with the author. Maybe they're still looking. I mean, if you're at the point where your auditions only take you 10, 15 minutes to do or less, why not just throw one at them? Yours could be the one that they actually see the message for, from ACX, hey, you got a new audition. And then they go, oh, let's go check and see. And then you could be it. You never know. You never know how these things work out. But use your discernment. If it's something that you really want to audition for, then audition for it. But don't stop there and hold your breath and go audition for more. Rustic Hillbilly is here. Good morning. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Alex says, I feel like I skew the results of the polls since I haven't tried yet. Don't ever feel like you're less than. In any way, shape, or form. You're never less than. Be honest. Mandy says, hi, Angela, everyone from, I think, was this this might have been a duplicate phone. Coach Ariel says, good morning from sunny, hot California. Yeah, it's still hot here in Arizona, too. It's like 90 something in October. Well, that's pretty normal for us. It doesn't really cool down until the end of October. Dylan says, hello, all. I just completed my 13th book last week. Congratulations, Dylan. I'm starting 14 and 15 this week. I found that working with rights holders that have series is a great way to get multiple books without auditioning, for sure. But keep in mind that not all authors want the same voice for their entire series. Some do, some don't, but you never know. So audition and find out. Mandy says, by the way, should I ignore auditions? That's another duplicate. Christopher Powell says, good morning. Good morning to you, Christopher. My cup of tea says, I don't have any jobs yet, but my deadline by the end of this month is to record new demos and start auditioning on ACX. Good. Other locations and record my short story. Good. I would say make your deadline a little bit sooner. By the end of this week. Not by the end of the month, by the end of this week. Because you might just keep putting it off. I've got time. I don't have to do this. I told myself I have till the end of the month, so I've got time. Don't put it off. Make your deadline the end of this week. Glowin says, good afternoon all. Just grabbed my lunch to sit in today from work. Hope you're all having a great day. So far, so good. What you eating? I'm hungry. What you eating? Pamela says, hi everyone. Hi, Pamela. Hope you're doing well. Dylan says, hi, Pam. Pam says, hi, Dylan. Joel says, good morning all. Brought a variety of donuts. My heart. Donuts. Thanks, man. Caesar says, munch, munch. Oh, you mean these donuts? Sorry, all gone. Mandy says, my profile is on the page you're showing. Oh, that's cool. We'll have to go back and look. Glowin says, with the rights holders that you looked at, is it appropriate to ask that author if they are going to remarket it? I would. If you're talking royalty share, I would. Because that's not only their money, but your money too. They may ask you the same question. My phone's being. I don't want to turn the notifications off because I'm expecting a package. I might have to get up and get a package in the middle of this. We'll see. But I digress. If you're looking at royalty share, you definitely want to market that book also, because that is not only their money, but that is also your money. So if you want to, once you have like the contract done and you're ready to get started on this book, you can start creating hype around this book coming out, right? Get onto your social media platforms. Hey, we're starting this book with a release date of around this time. And then it's annoying. Get on to TikTok or Instagram or wherever and start recording like little video snippets of you recording this book, right? So people watching can see sort of what it's about. And then once the book comes out, the audiobook comes out, you can create a book trailer. You know, you can use headliner.app. It's a platform where you can create short little bite-sized videos to make a book trailer, right? Use the retail sample and some cover art in it and then post that on your social media. Takes you a little bit of time, but you never know. The results from that little bit of marketing you did could really pay off for the both of you. So you can ask them, and they'll usually tell you up front in the audition information if they're going to market it and do all the things. But if they don't, ask them. I'm sure they would ask the same of you if you're sharing in the profits, right? Makes sense. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Joel says, Caesar, they always go fast. Mary says, hi, good morning. Sorry I'm late. Here's the donut. Audiolab is such an amazing tool. Yes. Although I don't think they tell you how to fix it. They just tell you what to fix, right? So, and that's when you go into YouTube and figure out, okay, well, what does this mean? How do I fix it? And then you come across my videos and then I tell you how to fix it and what it means. Good. Great job. Alex said, Audacity has plugins to mimic the ACX test. I've used it a bit as I work on the technical stuff. There are third-party plugins for Audacity and I think some other DAWs as well. Keep in mind that those plugins and the Audiolab also is not 100% accurate 100% of the time. So I usually tell people to learn your DAW, your recording software, your digital audio workstation. Learn how that works and how to check your files yourself. Don't be dependent upon third-party plugins or the Audiolab. You want to know that it's correct yourself, because if Audiolab or some third-party checker tells you that this is off and it's not, because the software, their algorithm, spot checked something that was just off and it's throwing up the red flag, this is not right, but it is. Example, I've had ACX tell me that I needed to fix a file before because something about the noise floor, I forget what it was. Or no, it was the RMS. The RMS was off. And I went and checked the file and it wasn't. It was fine. So I'm not sure what they're talking about. So instead of, emailing customer support and all of that stuff, I just re-uploaded the exact same file and they said, hey, thanks. Perfect. We're good to go. It's not 100% perfect. So if you learn on your own, be self-sufficient and learn on your own what is right and what is wrong, then you will know. You won't need to depend on someone else to tell you if you're good to go. You will know that you're good to go. And that in and of itself will give you a whole lot of confidence in what you're doing and how you're moving forward and how you're going to do in your business. Take the time to understand and learn your DAW. You'll be much better off for it. Yeah, it's a great job, Mandy. Paul says, sorry I had to leave, but to date means since my first commission in April 22. Okay. That's okay. I gotcha. Lushy's Amber says, I've noticed it won't let you upload at all if it's against ACX standards. I like to save the time and just upload it when ready rather than using the lab first. Yeah. I think that's kind of... Oh, you mean like when you're submitting a book, perhaps, or a sample? Yeah. So knowing your DAW, I think, is really going to help you guys just to make sure that you know that the files are right before you won't have to check them, right? I think is what I'm trying to say. Steven Sound says it should be noted that excuse me, for whatever reason, Audacity's ACX check plugin, ACX Lab, and Reaper's audio statistics all give different RMS levels. Don't rely too much on them. Trust a bit in yourself. Perfectly said. That's basically what I was just saying, Stephen. I'm glad we're on the same page. Oh, yeah. When is that storm supposed to be here? Excuse me. Is that just a couple days yet, right? Or is it coming in today? That's crazy. All the hurricanes. Dylan says to Caesar, I won't have a problem getting work. He could just go up to random people on the street and say, this is my voice, these are my sexy words, and get a job. Yeah, Caesar, you're very, very lucky with that voice, man. I'm telling you. You need to get out there more often with it. Coach Ariel says, happy nearly have my voice back after a month of illness and weird voice. Question, what do you usually do when voice changes and your demo samples sound different for a while and you want to keep working? I guess it depends on how long the while is. Because especially when you're talking about samples and demos, you don't want your first impression to be exactly what they're looking for, but then your real voice doesn't sound like that. You know what I mean? You don't want to give off the wrong impression. I always say, try to be as positive and transparent as you can be. That's just good juju. That's good karma. You don't want to try to pull the wool over someone's eyes and, they think you're something that you're not. So I would say just hold off until you're sounding more like you and then do demos and samples. Take the time to rest. Take that time to rest and get better instead of pushing it, because you might end up making it worse, too. Dwight says, I have done 2 ACX books, 7 children's books with 2 on deck, all non-ACX, 2 audio and video books with 5 on deck. Good for you, non-ACX. 1 book editing and audiobook on deck, again, non-ACX. Continued. Noticed most of my work is non-ACX and mostly from one-on-one introductions. I just got one while on vacation. So what? I need to charge for editing and do that too. I need to charge for editing and do that too. Yes, you do. Always, your time is valuable. Everybody's time is valuable. You should be compensated for it appropriately. Ben I says, good morning. Good morning, Ben. 4 books completed as of this morning. I just sent the invoice for the latest one. Good job. Due in November and another due in March. I will continue in next reply. I just signed with an author for all of their books, too. Good for you. I started last December and I've been very busy every month 2024. If I can do this, everyone here can. Get in the booth and audition. That's awesome, Ben. Florida D says 4 offers, 3 complete and 1 in progress. Just auditioned for my first few fiction, fantasy, and sci-fi genres. It's awesome. It sounds like you guys are getting out there. You're finally listening to me. Just audition already. Just get out there and do it. Don't wait for, this point in time or for I need to learn this first or I need to do. Don't procrastinate. Don't do that to yourself. Just get out there and do it. My cup of tea says I'm correcting my deadline next Monday. Good. Columbus Day is a holiday and great time to get some work done. Good for you. Love it. Dwight says on ACX I'm trying to have my 100th audition submitted by the end of this week, assuming I find things I want to audition for. Yeah. It's the stars don't always align for what you're looking for and what is available. Try less filters, perhaps. Maybe it'll just go, hey, I'm here. Audition for me. You never know. Joel says, I'm on my first book with ACX. Did a voiceover on Fiverr and had interest again this morning from someone else. Hope to get more books soon. Will get more books soon. Change hope to will. Brett V says, could you describe what you need to do to your audio if the Audio Lab says that your RMS is too low by so much or that your dB are too low by so much? That is going to be a very loaded question. Typically, when your RMS is too low is because the volume is too low. The overall volume is just too low. Or you have a lot of peaks and valleys. There's going to be a lot of different reasons for this, and it's not something that I can just, broad brushstroke answer. But most of the time, it's either because your overall volume is just too low, so crank up the volume, right, by a couple dB and then check it again. Or it could be, let's just back up for a second, because RMS is essentially the average volume of the dialogue, right? It's the average volume. So if you have a lot of high peaks and a lot of low lows, that's going to throw off the average. So everything needs to be a little bit more uniform to adhere to that RMS standard. So you may need a little bit more compression. Maybe you need to modulate your volume a little bit better when you're narrating. It could be a number of things, but usually it's because of those two things. So take a look at your waveform and see which it looks like. And if you're in a Facebook group, that actually I don't know if can you download from Facebook? I don't know. I would say start networking, getting into groups and meeting other voice actors, and then get to a place where perhaps you can send somebody a file and they can take a look at it, or hire an audio engineer to give you a booth audit. Maybe they can tell you what's going on. Reach out to your peers that are a little bit more technically inclined, and they might be able to tell you exactly what you need to do. But it could be a few things. Nicole says, newbie trying to record my first audition. Thank you for your channel. I got the RX11 package and NS1. Nice. Stop trying and just do it. Don't try, right? Steven Sound says, somebody mentioned competition earlier. Competition is irrelevant. They are not you. Your job when auditioning is to be there, to be the right person at the right place at the right time. Exactly. And also keep in mind that our favorite topic about the social media posts about, hey, do you want to make $1,000 an hour in your pajamas with just your iPhone? Do you speak English? There's been a whole lot of those social media posts that give people the wrong impression about how easy voiceover and or audiobook narration is. So they rush out and join all these sites that are found on social media, and then they discover how much work it actually is, how much learning is involved, how much investment is involved, and they go, man, I can't handle that right now. But they don't delete their profiles. They stay there. So the number of people that you see on all of these platforms that are doing the same thing that you're doing, all of those people are not active. A lot of those people are not active, right? They might just have profiles or gigs or something. They might be there, but they're not actively doing anything with it. They tried it, they decided it wasn't for them, but didn't delete anything. So don't look at the numbers, don't look at the competition, just focus on what you want to do and you moving forward and bettering you, and you'll be fine. Preach. Dwight says, I found out yesterday that what my mind thinks I am emoting in my auditions is not what is coming out of my mouth. Relatable. I think I'm emoting in my audition, but what is in my head is not what is coming out. Yeah, I think we should probably do more. Well, actually, every time we do Wheel of Emotions in our Platinum group, you do fine. It comes across. Maybe you just need to focus on whatever you're emoting, giving it 100% more instead of 50% more, perhaps. Masonry Construction says, my cup of tea, you will accept Angela's challenge. Let us all know. My cup of tea says, also, good morning, y'all. Meant to say that first, suppose that I am determined and made the deadline change before you mentioned. Thank you for the guidance and encouragement. Absolutely. Oh, there was a continuation, Dwight. I'm sorry. So Dwight said, but what is in my head is not what is coming out of my mouth. To fix this, I have a suggestion to share. I'm now video recording my auditions and then revisit that before leaving the raw file step. Seeing and hearing the audition helps keep it real. Interesting. I mean, that is something that you could do, is to video yourself while you're doing it and just to see. But I think a big thing about that is really making sure that you are in that place of that emotion, fixing your face, meaning, you know, make your face, allow yourself to feel that emotion, be in that emotion, and then maybe amplify it by 50 to 100% more, and then it may sound more like that emotion to someone else, if that makes sense. I always have a hard time describing things. And then you guys come up behind me and go, yeah, this is what Angela meant. I'm very verbose, and I apologize. We have a super chat. Hang on, I'm coming here. Dylan says, hi, Angela. I am a big dork, and horror movies scare me. No, they don't. Do they really? Sorry, I just got paid for my latest book and wanted to give your cut. Oh, I'll make you sound silly. You don't have to do that, Dylan. You did all this work on your own. You're amazing. You're not a big dork. I love you, Dylan. You're awesome. Okay. Where did I leave off? Thank you, Dylan. Nicole says, I have turned mic down. How do I lower my total RMS is too high? You could turn down the gain, for sure. You could also manually turn down the volume of the file itself in your DAW, which may help, instead of having to re-record the whole thing at a lower volume. It sounds like we're overthinking a little bit. But turning down your gain will definitely help. It's Jake says, have people had a good experience with royalty share royalty? Yes, again, but it also comes down to what you're choosing to share in the royalties with, right? So if it's something that's super interesting, that is trending, that is evergreen, that is, you know, already got a good following, I mean, you really got to look at those things when you're doing royalty share. Is the author going to market? You know, are they actively going to, you know, hype up this book? Are you willing to do the same to also generate income for both you and the author? So there's a little bit more work involved with royalty share, and you really need to make sure that it is something that you're, you know, okay with doing this with for. What is wrong with me today? Dwight says, by the way, this video recording is not being shared on the socials. It is for my validation process until my brain is calibrated with reality of my audition, meaning I produce exactly what I'm thinking. Jerry says, we're supposed to bring donuts if we're late. I only have my cold coffee. Yeah, my coffee's cold too, so I'm right there with you. But yes, if you're late, you bring donuts. Enough for everyone. And there's 50 people watching, so that's a lot of donuts. I hope you got them. Nicole says, same, Jerry, same. Gregory is here. Hey, Gregory. Hello, Angelinas and Angelinos. Oh, and Angela. Why am I last? Why am I always last? I've always wondered how to approach a rights holder when you submit an audition and it still shows open. Shh. And it's been weeks. It could be that they're still waiting. I mean, again, submit the audition and move on. Don't sit there and hold your breath. You're going to drive yourself nuts. Just move on. If they get back to you, they get back to you. Just move on. Dylan says, it's Jake. I've had mixed results, as of most have, I'm sure. Normally, if you have done your homework on the rights holder and the book itself, the results are pretty good. The 12,000 word how-to books those are, I would say, pretty evergreen, but it looks like Dylan disagrees. To be avoided at all costs. Typically AI oh yeah. It's also going to depend on the rights holder. If they wrote them themselves, they put time, sweat, and blood into these things. But if they're AI generated, which you unfortunately see a lot more of these days, then maybe not, right? Because they're just not written with any kind of heart or soul. You know, it's all just computer generated blah, blah. But good authors and books that are pretty high up on the Amazon list normally sell well, especially if you can market to lots of people. Yes, and that's pretty much what I was saying earlier, too. Caesar says to Dylan, the last time I tried that this is my voice thing, some dude stepped in between us and said, please step away from my daughter. Caesar, behave yourself. Don't make me get the sprayer. Caesar says, I thought the storm was going to make landfall today. Was it today? Oh boy. Hope everyone's keeping safe. For sure. Miller Time says, hey, Angela. Hello, Miller Time. I got my first book over the weekend. Good for you. Second audition. I was not expecting that. Thank you so much for all your inspiration and direction in this journey. Good for you. That's awesome. Celebrate it. Celebrate it. Steven says to Gregory, for old auditions, fire and forget. Maybe follow up once, but you're really better off using that time to audition for something else, or even better, upload samples. I am a firm believer that what is meant for you will find you. What is meant for you will be with you. What is meant for you will come for you, right? If you don't get a job, if something doesn't turn out the way that you want it to turn out, you might have dodged a bullet, right? It wasn't meant for you. So if it finds you, then it's meant for you. Coach says, I meant to say happy Tuesday. I have long COVID. Oh, so way more nasally than normal, and it's already been over a month. Feel good, sound different, maybe. Upload new samples temp demo for a while. I mean, you could, or you could think that you sound a whole lot more different than you actually do. Maybe you don't sound that different. You just think you do. I would get some unbiased feedback from a before and after, and let someone else tell you if it's, the difference is too much. We've had a couple people in our platinum group go through this exact same thing, where they thought their voice was different after being sick or surgery or whatever it was, and then we've listened and go, no, it's fine. You're in your own head too much about it. Florida D says, I use audition match loudness. It is set to -3.1 peak and 21.2 RMS, and it passes every time. There you go. Storm is supposed to be here tomorrow night. Yikes. Hope you guys are staying safe. Nicole says, thanks, Florida. Steven says to Gregory, in my opinion. Caesar says, I skip match loudness and master by ear. Well, that's because you have a better ear. You forget that. You have a better ear than most people do. Some people need, what's the word I'm looking for? Like tangible solutions. They need something that they can apply, something they can use, because they don't or not have yet developed the ear or the technical know-how yet. So, and I've done it too. You know, you kind of use like a cheat sheet to get there because you're just tired of messing with it until you can get someone to show you the proper tools to use to get to the place where you're trying to get. And then they develop the ear through that process. Usually takes a while to get there. But Caesar says, using a clipper and limiter. To Nicole, try to get a target of -18 dB recording levels when adjusting gain on your audio interface. And that's what I tell people too. When you're doing your raw recording, your target is somewhere between -18 and -9, perhaps. Maybe that -9 might be too high, but you could still kind of fix that a little bit. But if you're just recording into your DAW and you're adjusting the gain on your microphone as you're recording, watch the volume, the volume meter. And once it's in like around -18, 12 or so, then that is the right spot for your gain for your microphone. Joy says, hello everyone from partly sunny Southfield, Michigan. Food news, I no longer have COVID. Maybe good news. Good. I just had the cold symptoms, but that beats having COVID. How's about pumpkin spice donuts? That actually sounds amazing, pumpkin spice donuts. Gregory says, just a reminder, folks, to like and subscribe. Angela's awesome. Others need to know. Thank you, Gregory. Yes, please go ahead and tickle that like button. I appreciate it. And if you're watching this as Team Replay, please consider subscribing. It does help my algorithm and to help other people looking for this information to find me. Thank you, Gregory. The J-Way says, if a client includes music in their audition script, does it increase the chance of winning a job if you include the music in your audition? Not for audiobooks, because music is not typically included in an audiobook unless it is like a full cast, fully produced, like a dramatization of an audiobook. And those typically aren't found on ACX. You might find one here and there, but those typically aren't on ACX. But music is generally not included in an audiobook, so I would not include music. It's ultimately going to come down to if you're the right voice for the book. Special effects and all those other things are just distractions, if that makes sense. We got another super chat. Hang on. Donnie. Thank you, Donnie. Donnie, thank you. I am late. Here is some donuts and cheesecake and flowers. Oh, thank you, Donnie. It's very sweet. Okay, I got to breeze through these last comments because I've got to get going. You guys are awesome. My cup of tea says, to masonry, challenge accepted. Imagine your typical anime protagonist with the wide grin, and that's me, accepting the challenge head on and smiling. It's awesome. Donnie says, holy crap, I'm late, so I brought cheesecake and donuts. Yes, cheesecake. Nicole says, thank you, Caesar. Coach Ariel says, happily bring zucchini muffins for all 50 plus, and the garden is overflowing with zucchini green. I've never had a zucchini muffin. Are they good? I'm sure you're going to say, yeah, they're delicious. I've never had one. Meaningful Conversations with Sing and Lisa says, hi, everyone. Good to be here from New Orleans. I've always wanted to go to New Orleans. Always wanted to go there. It's on my bucket list. Coach Ariel says, haha, the sprayer for Caesar. Yeah, like a dog or a cat. When they're doing something wrong, you spray them. I have to have one of those for Caesar. Patricia says, is it bad to apply to ACX to see if I get accepted and then decline? I wouldn't do that. If you're auditioning for something, you're committing to that. Audition. You don't have to take the job. You never have to take the job if you audition for it. But, your intention should be to win the job, right? If you don't think that you're going to do it, then I wouldn't audition yet. I would work on practicing and getting better first, then auditioning. But when you audition, you're setting the intention that I am going to do this. But it's not a bad thing. If it turns out that you get a job offer out of nowhere and it's a book that you're really not comfortable with, you can decline that. That's not a bad thing. But if you're auditioning for it, or maybe you can't come to terms with the rights holder, that's another thing. But your intention should be, I'm going for this, I'm going to get it. Right? Kathleen says, when I submit an audition, I include a message to the author saying, thank you for considering me. Always thank them for their time. Always thank them for their time. They're people too. Lately, I've been made aware that rejection letters usually begin the same way. Do you message the author? When you submit an audition, send the message to the author that this is your initial take based on the usually small amount of context that you have to work from. But you're open to change. You have a range, right? Thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration. If you have any questions, make yourself available. Yes, absolutely do that with everyone. Patricia says, I believe highly on this belief of what is meant for you will find you, even more now. Firm believer in that. What is meant for you will find you. Kathleen says, what should I say in a message to the author when auditioning? We just went over that. Coach says, thank you, Angela. Always appreciate your encouragement and words of wisdom. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for being here with me. Caesar says, it's early, but I picked out my costume and voice for the upcoming Halloween edition Zoom Platinum workshop. I still need to do that. I need to figure out what I'm going to dress up as. I can only imagine. Cassidy Bryce says, new to the channel, but I'm watching as I set up my first home booth. Thanks for being a great resource for beginners like me. That was my intention. I'm glad to help, Cassidy. Nicole Combs says, have a great week, all. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody have a great week. Caesar says to Cassidy, I also listen to Angela while setting up my studio. Very informative. But probably shouldn't be hammering in nails while distracted. Yeah, probably not. Dwight says, yes, please. Zucchini bread and muffins are to die for. Coach Ariel says, zucchini bread much better than it sounds. I'd like to try it. Zucchini muffins are good if made right. Oh, so there's a caveat. You can't just throw some zucchini and some flour and some eggs and... I figured. Alex says, had to pause, so I was listening in double speed to catch up. Jarring when it slows back down. Don't listen to me in double speed. That's just weird. That's just weird. Do what you got to do, but the thought of that, I don't know, makes me feel weird. Anyway, but I'm going to run because I've got some work to do, but I will be back. Next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel. If you have something that you want to talk about in upcoming live streams or live chats, then please put those in the comments down below. I always appreciate you guys taking the time. I mean, the super chats, of course, but just taking the time to sit and have a chat with me, ask questions, get involved, participate, share your own tips and tricks and techniques, right, with other people. It means the world to me that you guys do that. So thank you so much for doing that. And I will see you all next week. Bye. If I can get the outro.